We all arranged that we'd meet here, and so I pull up, I put it in my GPS, and I pull up in front of a place with a different name.
Women's Choice.
Women's Choice. Yeah, that's what I pulled up in front of. And I thought to myself that knowing that you knew that I was coming here, you wouldn't give me the wrong name for where we were going to go. That wasn't your place.
That was
Women's Choice is not this clinic.
No.
It's right next door to you.
It is. So Women's Choice is one of many so-called crisis pregnancy centers. They're organizations. They pretend to usually be medical centers. They often locate themselves right next to or across the street from places that provide abortion. And they specifically do that as a means of trying to get people who are going to abortion clinics to come into their place instead. This is something that happens not just in Alabama, it happens in every state, in every city. And we find that patients will often get stuck there. They won't be told immediately that they are in the wrong place. We had patients who would often tell us that they were late because they went to the wrong clinic, and then the women's pregnancy center would tell them they didn't know where our clinic was. We share a building. We're right next to each other, to be clear. And they would say that they did not know where we were. We had an incident with a person who came to us from Texas, and she had called the wrong place. She called their center instead of our center, and she drove from Houston 10 hours in order to get here, and came into their clinic at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And only then did she find out that no, they did not provide abortion. They did not tell her that when she set up her appointment. And they also did not tell her that in Alabama, a person has to have an initial appointment with a ultrasound, counseling, and then they need to leave for 48 hours. And only then can they come back after that 48 hours is passed and have their procedure. So this person had traveled all day to get to an appointment that was meaningless, only to find out that she was going to have to make another appointment with us and then go home, drive back 10 hours, go and spend another couple of days at home before she could return and actually have her abortion. That was 3 trips for her. And all because they did not tell her on the phone that they did not provide abortions. I reached out to the Crisis Pregnancy Center after abortion was made illegal so that I could find out if they had doctors that they could recommend. Our doctor is a very skilled OB, and she is able to do everything except for actual delivery because she's not able to get hospital privileges in the city. And so we wanted to do prenatal care, and we were looking for a doctor that we could have work with us who would deliver, because here we are going to get the people who are pregnant and don't want to be. And they couldn't give me any doctors. They could tell me that they were able to give a list of doctors who accept Medicaid, and that's what they give to pregnant people who come in. But they don't have anyone who is actually going to say, "You're pregnant, I will deliver your baby because you have nowhere else to go."
Wow.
Prior to Roe being overturned, we have a space in our parking lot that the city designated specifically for anti-abortion protesters and for people who are going to hold events. It's a space that takes up parking. It's right next to an insurance firm on one side and then a pediatrics clinic on the other side. And there were people there almost every day with signs who would shout at our patients as they were coming in for care, regardless of what type of care it was. But I think the thing that blew me away the most was that there was an organization that would show up that would come with their signs that said, "Babies are murdered here." But they were standing right next to the pediatrics clinic. We had street preachers that would get right up on our back door and yell into the clinic, knowing that they were close to where the procedure rooms were. A very small clinic, so close to the procedure rooms or the recovery rooms. And they would yell hellfire and brimstone and tell them that they were all going to go to hell and that God was willing to save them if they just walk out of the clinic. That was a thing that we would deal with every day here. We had one person who would tell one of our nurses we had to file something because he would yell at her that God was coming for her. And obviously, to us, that sounds like a threat. This is Alabama. This is a place where providers have been shot, clinics have been firebombed. This is not a safe place for people to work in abortion. We knew that, and it's one of the reasons why it was so difficult for many clinics down in the Gulf to be able to find doctors who actually live in their communities. And we were very lucky to have one who was willing to take that risk. We had an off-duty police officer who came in and would sit in the parking lot for a couple of hours every morning. And I didn't like that because it was really expensive and I'd rather spend that on patient care. But B, we know that a lot of the people who come in here are from a highly surveilled, marginalized community, and having to walk past a police officer car is an awful thing to have to do for them. The irony is that in the days that followed the decision and right before the decision, it was the Crisis Pregnancy Center who actually got an off-duty police officer and had cops kind of driving around because they said they were afraid of some sort of action against them. And so they had their own protection, and our patients never really felt protected by the police.